Oh, caught me mid-sip. Welcome, everybody, to Far and Beyond Podcast. I'm Scott.
Micah.
And we're here for the Far and Beyond. We're glad you're joining us here today. And if you're watching this live or watching a recording, I'm just going to remind you a couple simple things. First of all, save this. Share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. And leave comments. Leave comments, because even if you're watching a rerun or a replay, if you will, we will still go back and look at those comments. We'd like to hear what you have to say. And if there's somebody you'd like to see on our show, or if you want to be on our show, let us know. You can certainly reach out to us. But, and this is brought to you by Farr, which is what?
The Florida Association of Recovery Residences, your state certifying body for quality, safe, accessible recovery residences.
There we go.
How is that for us?
That's good. And by the Sober Life Studios, right here at the offices of One Brother, One Sister, the nonprofit that brings training and education to first responders and veterans at no cost to them. We work on donations.
Thank you for your service, and God bless
you.
Oh,
all of you. Thank you. Absolutely. Micah, now, people were probably looking for us like 2 weeks ago. We were going to have a show. But you decided to, instead of go on the highway, you decided to take the parking lot.
Yeah, I did. I took the parking lot, a.k.a. the Florida State Turnpike System, north of anywhere. North of, where was I? I don't think I even got as far as Sample Road.
Well, it's like Glades North is just, it gets bad. It gets bad. And
so
then,
you
get up into Palm Beach.
I'm not moving. I had to actually get off. Finally made it to the Turnpike gas station because I was running out of gas.
So I had heard it was a little before 2:00 when the show went on that you were going to run late. Yeah. And then I heard at about 10:03 that you were still running late.
Not only was I running late, I'm still in the same spot.
That's called a cancellation phone call, my friend. That's what that was. But we're back. Hey, things happen. You live in South Florida. You know what the traffic is like. You hit one wrong street light.
Yes.
It can make you 10 minutes late for an appointment.
Well, let's see. This is how I prepared for this afternoon. I took all my meetings, all my Zooms, and I started driving here this morning at 9 a.m.
He just arrived. He just made it.
And I was only in Fort Lauderdale. That was good.
So we have a lot going on.
We do.
And we want to let everybody know and share this. Again, please share this information with your friends. The first thing we want to tell you about is the conference, which is next week.
Yeah, let's do these in chronological order.
Yeah, this is next week, and this is the EAP Florida Conference. It is Florida's oldest and longest running conference.
50, almost 50 years.
Yeah.
49 years.
Yeah, it's been insane. And that is coming up next week, May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Now, the 2nd and 3rd is when we're having our sessions and our and the conference itself. The 1st is really for the golf tournament.
Right.
And they have room for people in the golf tournament. The flyers right there if you want to get the information off there.
I'll just be there golf clap.
You could also call us here or call Karen Hurley if you want more information about going to the conference or being a sponsor of a booth or something. We still can do that. But give Karen a call, 786-514-0893. That's 786-514-0893. But if you want to go, this is a fun conference.
You'll see us.
You'll see us, the famous Far and Beyond people.
Join us in the what are we doing at the booth? We're
going to do a Conference Cafe podcast. It's going to be a podcast. It's going to be brought to you by Far and Beyond, and it's going to be brought to you by my podcast, the Sober Life Podcast. We're going to bring them all together, and we're just going to sit and we're going to record people, and then we're going to put them together into one show that's really going to highlight the fun and the camaraderie, the connections that are made there. You know, conferences, I mean, let's not try to dress it up. This is a chance for us to get together and reconnect with people, to think of better ways to serve the people that we serve. And in many cases, a lot of good ideas come out of these conferences. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I've been going for years. You said it. Connection is key. We forget sometimes. We all know each other, especially around, but rarely do we get to see each other in person. Usually everybody's in 100 different directions at once. So it's kind of funny. You have to go away to get together.
Yeah.
But it gives it that intentionality behind it. It is a great setting. We're right on the beach in Melbourne. People are in a good mood. It's been a great spot. And that ability, I think you said it, sharing. Biggest thing is when you can reconnect, your ideas start flowing, your experiences start to get shared, and we really look at some new solutions. Again, some of those relationships and building out some other things too. And we're looking at how this is all evolving. Again, this is such a long time conference. There's a lot of changes that are happening in the recovery community network, and the housing network, and the treatment network. So this will be a good chance. We have a panel that's going to be there, which is going to cover a lot of these issues.
Oh, absolutely. And we've got a very diverse panel. We've got treatment people who run treatment centers, people who've owned treatment centers. We've got people involved in Farr with RCOs. We have people who are involved with unions that are going to be there.
Yes.
So there's a lot of good conversation.
Mental health as well is being represented on that. Lots of highly intelligent, educated, and experienced people, and me.
And I'm going to be asking them the questions. I'm going to be asking the questions. So the first question for everybody, male and female, is going to be, of course, what we all need to know: boxers or briefs. And we're going to start with that, and then it's going to go hopefully uphill from there, because it really can't go downhill from there.
We can go downhill from there too.
No, we're going to have great discussion and stuff like that. One of the things about these conferences is it's also a good opportunity for old school to meet new school, and new school to learn from old school. And you see a lot of that. We see the young guys and the young ladies in the industry getting together with some people who have been around for quite some time, and the exchange of ideas, and everything grows, everything changes. But if we don't pay homage to the people who've walked before us, we're doomed to make the same mistakes they've made. So let's learn from them.
What's the old adage?
If you forget to remember, you're doomed to relive.
Well, that, but also this is from a principal, retired principal. Shout out to Joe Flanagan up in Martin County. Great guy. And how he used to talk to students he's like, look, I've been your age. You haven't been mine. Yeah. And as you get older, it's like, yeah, that rings true.
Oh, what was the other quote? It's every time somebody asks me to act my age, I say, I don't know. I've never been this age before.
That's right.
How do I act my age? I've never been this age before. And in 5 minutes, I'll be a new age. Now what?
That's right.
So anyway, yeah. So that's really good. If you want more information, again, call Karen 786-514-0893.
And it's not that far away.
It's not that far away.
Melbourne is a hop, skip, and a jump.
It's what, 2 hours, 2.5?
Depends where you are.
Depends on how you drive too.
Yeah.
For me,
the turnpike.
For me, it's about a 4-hour drive. When Karen drives, my business partner Karen,
48 minutes.
Yeah. She drives like her ass is on fire, and I drive like I've already.
It's not.
It's not. I am such a bad driver. I'm not bad driver like accidents. I believe it's like 5 miles over the speed limit is what I'll do. I don't do more than that.
Do you remember?
I like going 70, 72 miles an hour. That's it. On a motorcycle, in a car, and I think I learned it because motorcycle, you learn to just be more careful, except for some of the idiots down here. But
do you remember, and it's not that long ago, 55 mile an hour speed limits?
For years, 55 miles in every highway and everywhere. And then when they started changing it, God, that goes back they started changing that back in the early 80s, mid 80s.
Late. Well, Maine, it was like, I think in the 90s when they finally switched.
Yeah, some of them were.
Takes a while to get up to change the signs.
But they started changing some of the big highways over, and people are like 65. Now they got some highways that are 70 and 75.
Once you get north of everything here, it's 70.
Yeah.
And if you're on heading west over to Tallahassee, because there's nothing there, I think it's 75 miles.
And let me clear this up, people. Just because you're in the express lane, does not mean you get to go 30 miles over the speed limit.
Right.
Does some people believe, well, I'm in the express lane, they expect you to go 90.
But in the same vein, if you're in the right lane, doesn't mean you're going 46.
Oh, God.
That's more dangerous than the guy going 90.
It really is. It really is. And we don't have to deal with shit down here that I had to deal with, like ice and stuff like that, and snow. You get idiot drivers in ice and snow, it's over.
I say, this is what gets me. So I just came back from Maine, and shout out to my dad, and everybody's been supportive. My dad had
where were
surgery.
You?
I was up in Maine.
What town?
Bangor.
Love Bangor.
Hometown. Shout out
Stephen
to
King.
Bangor. Stephen King, another great guy. Fantastic guy. Great talent.
Almost lost him. That was tragic. Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful advocate and supporter and long time. Just he's an all around, and his wife Tabitha are just incredible people. All his kids, great family. That being said, speaking of great family, my dad, my mom up there. My dad is having some procedures, having some issues right now. But he's doing good. But that being said, it was spring in Maine. So everybody's out loving the weather. It's 43 degrees, and everybody's like, "Woo, ah!"
It's quite refreshing. It actually is.
But that idea that when I come back down here, I'm like, okay. I drive a lot. I cover some ground. And when I hit like 5 separate traffic jams going from, say, Broward County to Martin County, I'm like, let's see here for a second. The roads are straight, basically smooth, multiple lanes, no ice, no snow, no moose, no logging trucks. Why?
Yeah, I know all the things that go wrong up north. And
but yet here you have worse traffic.
Yeah. I mean, up there, it's just they take it with a grain of salt.
Also people assume.
Why is it road bag? Oh, we got a moose up there. And it's just like, okay, fine.
And I will say my father ran into a moose when he was younger, took the top off his car. Friends of mine were in a Saab, hit a moose, and Saabs, look it up on YouTube's Saab moose safety testing. They used to make a synthetic moose and drive the Saab underneath it to show that they were so strong because they were in Sweden. There's a lot of moose. But the moose would roll up over the car and not crush you. Because we have more deaths related to moose strikes than half anything else up there. You do not want to run into a 1,500-pound moose.
If you've never seen a real moose up close, this ain't bullwinkle.
No.
And this isn't reindeer. This isn't like cute little things, although they're quite majestic. They're awesome to look at. It's not like looking at a horse. This animal, there's a menacing quality about, and they're so big.
They are huge.
Just freaking huge. Yeah. Anyway, so
Tales of Maine.
So that's how we, I don't know how we got from the conference to mooses in Maine.
That's how we go.
But that's what happens here. That's how we
roll.
This is Far and Beyond. Also subtitled Short Attention Span Theater right here going on.
Well, we didn't say how far beyond. Where beyond exists.
Where anything shiny goes, that's where we go.
Let's talk. Speaking of shiny things, let's talk about the barbecue.
Now this is going to be fun. All right, so remember next week is and then we've got in I guess it's about 2.5 weeks. We've got May 18th, the Farr BQ. Farr being the Farr, Farr, BQ. It's a barbecue for Farr.
And look at that logo. That's great.
I mean,
we have our own mascot.
Who created that?
I don't know. Some artiste.
That was me.
Artiste right here. You see the art behind us. Barbecue coming up. Of course, the only difference is we're probably not serving steaks, but definitely burgers and dogs and all the sides. So we got a full barbecue spread. We have some guest speakers. We have music. May have some live music too. Working on that.
It's quite possible.
Quite possible. We have volleyball's going on, kickball's going on. We are going to have the Farr Olympics, which by all means, get your whole house together and come over, participate in some zany competitive events. Nothing too strenuous. Nothing that everyone can't be involved in. You might get wet. You might get slapped with a rubber chicken, and you might wind up covered in cheese balls. But you're also going to win some great prizes. And the biggest thing is being out there and connecting with your friends and family and everybody in recovery. Also, we're going to have some of our community partners that are there for recovery supports from our RCCs and RCOs to bring community information. How do you get connected to all these things? The idea is to come out and celebrate recovery in a fun, exciting way and have a good day of it. And we are 11 to 3 p.m. at John Prince Park right in, I believe it's Lake Worth. Home of the Lake Worth Beach.
That is correct. It is at 2700 6th Avenue.
Yep.
In Lake Worth.
JPP. Realize we're going to add some signs as we go in that.
Yeah.
See the things we think about?
But it's the Eric Call Pavilion when you get there. Is there an admission?
None. No admission.
Free event.
Free of charge. We want to make sure people are out there having a good time.
And we're encouraging people in recovery to come out.
Absolutely.
Can they bring their kids and their families?
Bring whoever you want.
Wow.
Come on now. Look, we'll cover anybody in cheese balls. Age doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
No, even better. Bring everybody out. The idea is to celebrate together. It's all about having fun. And, we talk about a lot of serious stuff, not only in this podcast, but in our daily lives and this work we do. And at the end of the day, though, if you can't go out and enjoy life, no matter what stage or state or anything you're in, what are we doing? Right?
Absolutely. I'll put that up a couple more times before we're done, but it's the Farbecue. If you go to Farr's website, they've got the information on there.
Come right up. We have that. If you look, we have our exciting news on that. We are right there, Farr Online. So all your basic information is still right there on the Farr website. We are in the process right now. We're almost done. We are 2 weeks away from unrolling the very new Farr website and the new app portal. So we put some good work into that, and looking forward to rolling that out with everybody. It will be the same web address. We are not changing that, but a new look. I think we should make the little pig logo. I don't know, have a little bouncing head on there. I don't know. We'll
whatever you want to do, we can make that work.
We can make that work. But no, excited about that. So you have all kinds of different ways to access information, and we're going to increase what we can give you for knowledge and information there. Also, for those applying for Farr certification.
We're not promoting SARS.
No,
we're not promoting that. Saying.
Love the food, can't stand the SARS. For Farr certification, you'll be able to do that, as well as access all kinds of other information and goodies right from the convenience of one of these little attention grabbers right here. So we're looking forward to that as far as Farr continues to evolve and develop. So Farbecue, May 18th, 11 to 3, John Prince Park. Come on out, bring your appetite, bring your silliness, bring your ears. Just bring yourself and have a great time. This time of year, too, the weather has been, of course, I say that, knock on all these things. Whatever we got, knock on it. We've had probably one of the most beautiful springs. No rain, the lawns are dying, but I'll trade dead grass for beautiful weather.
No, I mean, this is like living back in Syracuse again. 2 seasons a year, it's brown grass.
That's right.
Spring and fall, grass is brown.
Yeah.
And then in winter, it's snow on top.
Yeah.
And in summer, it turns green
it's
for
green
about
for
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
But that's, it's important to come out and do events like this and to get involved,
right,
to learn about what's going on in our recovery communities. There's a lot of people have blinders on that don't look out and see what's there. And for years, I was one of those people. I didn't realize, we've got RCOs that are operating for people. There's so many services available for people in recovery, people new in recovery. There's so many different opportunities for people. And Farr is a lot of people say, I want to open a sober living and I want to do this. And they think it's going to be really easy to do. I'll tell you what, the easiest thing to do is before you start spending your money, spend some time talking to Farr, find out what is really involved. Don't wait until you make an investment, because here's what's the problem is. People make an investment, they get deep into it, then they realize I have to do these things to be, and so they're already out of money, they're desperate, so they cut corners and they don't do the things they need to do. Find out beforehand.
And here's the thing, too. If you go to farronline.org, and the other thing right there, there's a number to call. What I recommend people do right now is we're building the portal out. And even still, you're going to call, you're going to talk to Josh, Heidi, Kayla, Sabrina, maybe even our field assessors, Chris, Trisha. I got the whole team. I did it.
You did that.
I did it. Oh, my gosh.
And you.
And me.
There you go.
You can call me. Call me. I put my phone number in everywhere. And 207-992-7576. Write it down.
That's right.
Feel free to call. And by the way, the calls I'm getting from around the state, I get all kinds of stuff that people, which is, I welcome it. Because if we can't be a conduit of information, and Scott, you said it great. Let's sort of separate fact lore from fact, Farr lore from Farr fact. Got a lot of words. I'm trying too many syllables.
Yeah, I know.
And
he could have said fact from fiction, but he was trying to make it. He was trying to make it cute.
But that being said, everything we have now is templated. All the forms you need, all the information you need. We will walk you through that process, and our goal is to create more certified housing, and certified in the sense that it's safe, it's sustainable, it's accountable. So our folks have the best chance. We know for a fact, the science, the data tells us that long-term engagement in a recovery setting with housing and is a center point, your recovery chances and long-term recovery are that much greater. And so it's that connection, it's that ability to create. This isn't rocket science, but it is science. And so we want to do that at Farr. That's why we do what we do. And as we're building out Farr, I'm traveling all over the state, meeting as many providers as possible, meeting as many partners as possible. our friends at DCF, our friends at the managing entities, our incredible network that's developing of RCOs and RCCs. That's Recovery Community Organizations and Recovery Community Centers for all you folks out there. It's happening. Florida is starting to be a leader in this, leading the charge. We're getting calls from around the country about how are you doing this in Florida? And it's all about good people, good intent, coming out of some of the, we were worse. We were first at the worst, go back 2015, 2016. Now we're turning that. Those negative factors, those folks that are not there to do the right thing, they're now becoming the exception. And the team around that, between our friends in public safety, our friends in the state's attorney's offices, our friends at the managing entities, our friends at DCF, Farr as the eyes and ears on the ground, and also the recovery community. The recovery community saying, this is what we do together. People looking out for each other. Yeah. And that's what it takes. So the idea of, and Sky said something earlier, which I thought was great, which was with the recovery community centers, not only are they centers and supports for people in recovery, it is support for the community.
The community itself,
we're taking that distinction of, well, it's the recovery or this. It's like, no, it's our community, gang.
Yeah.
It's the whole community. And this is right. Everybody's in it. It's your brother, sister, cousin, friend, a parent. It doesn't matter. There is, the old days of being like 6 degrees separated from this stuff are gone. It's either you or someone one step away from you. That's how prevalent this issue is. Between substance use, behavioral health, co-occurring disorders, it's right there in front of everybody.
It's such it's been overlooked for so long, this part.
Yeah.
Everybody's been so hyper focused on treatment. Now, treatment is important. I get it.
It's
good treatment centers are super important. But understand, that's like going to college, but the job you start after college is where you start using the tools. That's what we're talking about. And that's when they really need support. And having organizations like that, organizations like Farr, listen, there's a lot of people with the best intentions in the world who open sober livings and sober homes.
That's right.
But they just don't have a clue as to what is the best and the safest way to do things. And they don't, or they might not understand that it's not everything is about money. There's some things you could do that are good. That's why I'm saying, don't make Farr your last stop in building something. Make it your first stop.
Right. Where they do that.
If you want to build a house, it would be pretty ridiculous to just grab a whole handful of lumber and start nailing nails. You need to plan out, can I actually build the whole house? Do I have all the materials? Do I know what goes where? If you do that first, it makes things so much easier. So Farr should not be your last stop. It should be your first stop. And, if you're not involved with RCOs in your community, I bet you most people don't even know if their community has one.
You know what? I get that a lot. Again, people coming out of the treatment environment, and we talk about that. Hey, let's get you connected. And people come from all over the country. They're going home, wherever that may be. They may be going to Syracuse, New York. Who knows?
Rock and roll, Syracuse.
Right. And Carousel Square Mall. And I've been a lot of places.
You have.
I've been everywhere, man.
But
you bring in that idea that it's like, look, it's about a community. So if you don't have one, we can help you find one. And here's the best thing. Who can start an RCO? Anybody, right? All the tools are there. We in Palm Beach County, we've worked very close with Faces and Voices of Recovery, Favor. They provide the certification like Farr would. They have the whole 9 yards, the whole packet. Anybody can start that. It gives those evidence-based and best practices for an RCC, RCO. And it is about building a recovery community where at least 51% of the organizing body are folks in recovery. But you notice that leaves a lot of other folks involved because you can't do it just with one voice. It's an informed voice, it's an engaged voice, and you bring in all parts. And that's what makes it a community center and a community organization. So we have 2 in, fortunately right now we have 4 in Palm Beach County between the community recovery hub of Delray Beach and also in Lake Worth Beach. Our friends at Rebel Recovery are in West Palm Beach and just opened their first facility in Belglade. We're opening a sister facility in Belglade through the hub. So complementary, think about it. In Belglade, we're bringing a lot of recovery there. It's amazing. So all kinds of resources coming out to Belglade. And also we're opening in Riviera Beach. So we're going to have a total of 6 facilities and 6 centers. Our friends at Fellowship are opening their new facility May 10th, right in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, this is amazing.
And we've got friends in Hollywood with the Florida Susan Morris place.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of it now.
That's a problem. I said Farr fact.
It's a Florida Recovery Center or something like that.
Yes.
It'll pop into our heads, then we'll shout it out for no reason in the middle of
That's
our
right.
next conversation. It's going to happen.
It'll be after we talk about more moose.
But we have such a high concentration of recovery people or people who are seeking recovery in Palm Beach, in Broward, in all the counties up and down, kind of, especially on this coast. And having these services is just so important.
And if there's anybody in the central part of the state, I'm throwing a shout out to you because I've been getting calls from that area where there's very little. Here's the thing. We have 67 counties, I think, in Florida.
Really?
Crazy. It's some crazy amount. And we're only in Farr certified housing is only in like 23 of those counties.
I would have guessed 4. I guess I would have been off by a bit. Yeah.
I mean, the largest concentration, of course, is Palm Beach County and Broward County. We're over half of the certified housing. But that's also where we have our largest concentration of recovery supports, treatment, and recovery community. So it is what it is, but people are looking to us for leadership. They're looking for guidance, and we're looking at this evolution of the recovery movement, and it's happening here. I mean, when we a week ago, they opened a new center in Belglade. The 10th, they're opening a new one in Fort Lauderdale. We have 2 radios. So our 2 new hubs are going to be opening in September. Ribbon cuttings in September with October 1st open dates for both Riviera Beach and the new Belglade site. Obviously, we are 2 that are going right now. We're going to be moving down the street in Delray Beach here pretty soon. But other than that, we're going to be up and running. So think about that. In the last 5 years, and between at least 8-10 centers recovery in a 2-county area.
It's so necessary. It's so necessary. We keep using the word recovery community.
Yep.
And one of the things that I think about and that I talk about with other people is that, we're trying to find the most successful ways to make community and recovery community the same thing. Mm-hmm. We kind of talk about it separately because we're trying to get services to these particular people, but integration into regular society. Listen, this is stressful enough for somebody who has spent most of their life probably bucking society or taking from things. And now they want to be a part of and to feel a part of. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, are these communities, these RCOs, are these a part of that is to get people more integrated into society? Or is it still just come to our secret group and get our secret handshake? And, you could be the grand poobah of the RCO this week.
Don't be wrong. Secret handshakes are cool.
They are cool to have a secret handshake.
However.
But you can't eat a secret handshake.
You can't eat a secret handshake. But the whole idea is when they say recovery community organization or community is the number one word. Community is the number one word. Recovery is important. That's a context, but community is the goal, right? So it's plugging into all those community assets. And there's some recoveries because we want to have successful opportunities for recovery, but we want to know about you, which is one of the reasons why we use something called the Recovery Capital Index at I know it sounds fancy, but it's it measures these social determinants of health. So it's not just, how much therapy did you get today? Or what's your meds? Or this, it's like, how do you feel? What do you do for fun? How's your family? What's your faith like? What's it, those types of things, these other things that build a person, and the idea of going to recovery community center, recovery oriented system of care, right? Not a treatment oriented system of care. Treatment fits, if you look at it like Wheel of Fortune, right? All those wonderful, the 5,000, this, that, all those things for the individual in the middle. Look at what's that person need. Is it something in that clinical acute treatment? Maybe. Great. And maybe that's been a part of that. Absolutely. Is it critical? Absolutely. Can I tell you a goal I have? I want to see we have some of the best treatment providers on the planet right here in South Florida, right? Been around for years and years and years. We want to see all those beds full because that's somebody getting the help they need. Yeah. What we're trying to do is move people from coming back to those beds over and over and over again because we're missing something on the other side. And what we're missing on the other side is how do we support recovery? So as we build that, look, guys, if every single person in the country today that needed a treatment episode and needed that support showed up at the door, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble because we are about 12 million opportunities shy. So let's get folks into the help they need, into the network, into the support they need, support their families, support their communities. We've been having great talks with the business community, with employers, with unions, with things like that, because they see it every day. What would they rather have? They want an intact person who is there, who's contributing to their job because they love it. That are not, out.
They haven't developed bad habits other places. They can be taught to work a specific thing.
And you have employers too that are very well versed in this space and understand what it takes, but it all works together. The more people that are in successful recovery, that is a contribution, because they also take all that experience and all that knowledge and all that understanding of what struggle means, of what challenge means. They've been through it. Boy, oh boy, they are out of the gate. They are just prepared for anything. It's not like you're going to surprise them with something. Right. Or come out with something that's like, oh yeah, well, let me tell you a little something about challenge, right? Yeah. So you have a chance to really, and look at Florida in general. We're, despite all the talk of bubbles and this and that, it's still exploding down here.
It is.
And there's a lot of folks here. There's a lot of chances to work. Housing's going to kill you. We're working on it. But isn't that what a wonderful thing, but what a strange thing to say that the most affordable and accessible housing in South Florida is recovery housing? That's actually funny. And Florida is a hot spot. Yeah. It's been that way for a long time. No snow. No moose. See, I told you we get back to moose. Probably second place for a long time was Southern California, yes. With a lot of places there, and LA area and stuff. Now we're seeing other states, New Jersey, we're starting to see a growth there in there's lots of growth in New Jersey. There. There's growth there. Ohio is another big one. We're seeing a lot of stuff. Yeah. And Texas. Amazingly, Texas. Always Austin, bigger in Texas. And Houston. They're starting to really kind of build up their recovery communities there too. Yeah. But it's like, where do we reach that point where it no longer is? Well, I guess there's always going to be that transitional period where they're going to need the help. Yeah. But that's okay. But I would like to have it where people step back into their lives without that kind of stigma and that kind of thing. It's just like, listen, if I had to leave work because I had cancer, am I comparing addiction to cancer? No, because I don't want to offend people who have cancer. They're like, that's not a fair thing, because you cannot decide you want to rid yourself of cancer and then it happens. You can't do that, but you can with addictions and stuff. You can, if you commit to it, you can change it. So I get there's a big difference there, but we do not label other people. We don't label when you're cancer. When you have cancer, you don't become cancer. You don't say, "Hey, look at that cancer." Yeah. Or as opposed to, "Hey, look at that." See that cancer over there? His name is Bob. Yeah. No, you don't do that. Yeah. It's still Bob who has cancer. I'm thinking of a CA meeting. Hi, I'm Bob, and I have cancer. I don't see that happening. It's generally a different level of support. No, it's a different level of support. As someone whose family's been affected by cancer and what you go through with that. It's a different level of support that's out front and open. Yeah. And is clinically run. And there's a lot of good things that go on there with that kind of support. But the biggest thing is they're not hiding in basements. They're not doing that kind of thing. And we've got to change that algorithm that says that somehow addictions, when you have a substance abuse disorder, that you go way down on the food chain. You're not even, first of all, you trade in your human card. Yeah. Because now you're not Mike anymore. You're just an addict. I got a room full of addicts. No, you don't. You got a room full of people. Exactly. It's the one disease where you cannot treat the disease. Because I know it's going to piss people off. Alcoholism and drug addiction don't exist as separate entities on their own. They do not exist. Substance abuse disorder, alcoholism, addiction, whatever you want to call it. These are things that manifest themselves in different parts of a human being, but it is about how the human being is. So we're not treating a disease, we're treating a human being.
But there's a lot of treatment centers. There's a lot of people out there that are still trying to treat it like if everybody has it, we're treating one thing. It's a disease. We're not. We're treating people.
That's right.
Because everybody's different. That's where the whole thing.
Because there's some people with the disease of addiction, and there's some people that are addicted, and there are some people that are afflicted.
Yes.
There are ways that are many different ways to look, and it does come down to the individual. And the thing is, we've advanced a lot of medicine and science to, yes, be a certain important component of that, which never existed before. And by the way, with the landscape of substances we have out there now, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be, we still are looking at tragedies day in, day out, loss of lives day in, day out. But we are seeing folks that are surviving and living despite these new things. And because we do have a community that's actually invested in this now. I mean, let's go back 5-6 years when naloxone, nobody knew what Narcan, I'll say Narcan, the brand, but naloxone, the substance, right? Life-saving because it's the opioid reverser, for lack of a scientific term. That's what it does. And that's what people think it does, right? And you could only get it either they had it at the hospital on a rig for a first responder, or you found a street advocate who had it in their trunk. Shout out to some brothers out there who did amazing work, right?
Yeah.
That's grown. Now, literally, I should have brought someone just to stack them up. You can stack them up like Legos from Farr, from the hubs, from Rebel. Well, if you need it, we got it. It won't cost you a thing. One of these days, we'll build ourselves a naloxone Pez dispenser with, I don't know. We'll put your head on top of it, Scotch.
I'm waiting. I'm praying for the one of these days when we don't need something like that.
But with that, you know what it does? It saved lives. You know what it does? It's created a bridge for that individual. And it's same kind of concept with needle exchange. Like needle exchange just promotes use. It's like, no, it creates an opportunity for connection. Because when you go to one of those facilities, they're just not, it's like I joke, I don't kid. We don't just we make sure there's a conversation, there's materials, there's things that go in the naloxone so that if someone's needing it, they know that there's something else for a next step. The same with something like a needle exchange. It is, they're not just throwing these things out there like darts. They're like, hey, first of all, you have to exchange, which means you have to have, it's metaphorical and physical. There's an exchange of a physical thing, but there's an exchange of, wait a minute, are you ready?
So it's not like throwing a roll of paper towels out to people who've just been through a hurricane. Okay. What? Too soon? Oh, come on. Get over it. It was a dumb image. Just get over it. It was a dumb, bad image. But
that idea that, and the same question always comes out. Are you ready? You ready to make a change?
Yeah.
So you don't care if it takes one time, maybe it's someone's ready.
You're right.
Or if you can keep them around for 100 times and that 100th time they're ready to make that change, you never give up. Right. And that individual doesn't give up. So there is that idea now that we are trying to build those bridges to recover. And it is, what are you building a bridge to? Recovery. It's powerful stuff.
I'm so excited about this, and we're hoping that over this next year or so, that working together with Farr, with Micah, ourselves, and a few other great people out there that are doing good stuff. We're hoping to start bringing some events forward that really highlight that point where the rubber meets the road.
Right.
Listen, it does really good. It does great to sit in the schoolroom and learn all that stuff. But when you start doing work and putting your feet on the ground, that's what it matters. And there's never been that much attention to the after treatment.
Right.
Because treatment's always been the whole thing. It's like, I got them for 30 or 45 days and I'm doing, it's what they do with all that knowledge.
Right.
We're hoping they walk out with a lot of knowledge and some drive, a lot of drive, I hope. And, maybe the best ideas and the best intentions.
You got to catch them with that drive, though. And they walk out. Usually, that enthusiasm. That we got this mentality. If you don't have a plan, a community, and the resources and the connection there, the statistics aren't great. They just did a study, and my apologies for not pulling the reference point up, but they did a study of 6,000 individuals coming out of treatment. This is crazy. 8%. Now, 8% of 6,000 is pretty significant, right?
Right.
10% is 600, 8%, about 500 people, right? Reoccurred within 30 minutes of leaving treatment.
Really?
30 minutes, which means literally walking out the door, finding something and getting back into it.
Wow.
So It is that's a danger.
That's why they
point.
started putting them in the Arizona desert.
That's right. Well, they
We've
get you
extended
45
that to
minutes.
3
You got to
hours
7
now.
hours. It's a lot of while. But it also demonstrates how powerful and how difficult this issue is for individuals, because it combines. You have a chemical component, you have a behavioral health component, you have all these different things.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's not taking away from that individual, because something was missing for that individual that they couldn't get to that next step. Okay, you can't. Things are going to happen. We know that, but boy, oh boy, if we start building these bridges, and that's, you know, what else comes down to is connecting all these things together. So when we talk about like EAP and things like that, this is the first time in many years where we have a significant influence from treatment, recovery, housing, mental health, all those things, open discussions, dialogue, panel, but in sparking that discussion where I've been at this a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been at this a long time. I think of our dear, almost like our Uncle Joe, Brian. I mean, his dad started this conference.
Yeah.
So literally when you say Joe grew up with this, and he's retiring, you know what I mean? And when you saw that body of knowledge, but these are things these folks have seen. I think of Rick Riccardi down in Broward.
Yep.
It's just the amazing work people have done. And then you think of on the policy and the development side, I like our drug czar, Palm Beach County, John Hewlett, what he's done to bring that idea of a recovery-oriented system of care, that overlay of coordination, that understanding that if we put our resources in long-term recovery supports, knowing that acute care is critical, but it's a part. And our friends in Broward, brother Dave Scharf at the sheriff's office down there. I mean, all the work Don Maines did for years.
Give a shout out to Dave Ehrenberg too.
I just gave Dave Ehrenberg some more kudos. What Dave and Al have done at the level of adjudicating this.
Yes.
But not adjudicating it in a silo, but looking at our partners at DCF. And it's like all of this working together. You got to take care of the bad guys, but knowing full well that protects the good guys, and it also builds that safety environment where we're all working together. And we're on the precipice of really making this happen. And I've been having conversations with our incredible county commissioners in Palm Beach County, all the way up through with our state legislators, our governor, who is actually, when he signed that supporting the core initiative, which is a huge component of this. Is it the complete answer? Of course not. But boy, oh boy, it is. When we're looking at what Houston Park has done with that work and getting MAT to folks to really need in the opioid struggle, we know it's a component. It's not the whole answer, but it is certainly critical that we're at least having this statewide dialogue and solutions coming in. There's not one entity, there's not one solution, but it's the sharing of ideas, the sharing of knowledge, and where it all fits together. And I'll tell you, someone had a great analogy yesterday. I was on a call. I'm on a lot of calls, a lot of stuff. And they're like, if we can give that individual their own air traffic controller, let's get them in the air, and then let's land all where they need to be appropriately. Yeah. We'll get them appropriately assessed and into that network, that recovery-oriented system of care, wherever that need is for that individual, we'll be able to meet. That's the difference, and that's what we're working towards. So by all means, check out our plan in Palm Beach County. It's almost finished. It's in draft form. When I say draft, it has to go through the advisory. And then if you go to Palm Beach County Community Services and look up our BOUCSUD, I think I missed a couple letters, plan, it's right there. You can see how it's come. It's development, and I encourage anybody around the state, go take a peek at that. And as you're looking at how do we do this collectively, I know we got some great partners around the state. Shout out to Live Tampa over there, doing incredible work, bringing these things together. Our friends in Pasco County, or Jacksonville has the housing initiative up there. They're doing incredible things. Our goal here at this table, Farr, our networks, working with our brothers and sisters in first responders, is that how do we bring that together? And Farr is a statewide organization. So we can be a convening body to bring the very best ideas together. I've just been touched by what's happening, around the state, and we're like I said, we're on the doorstep of some major.
You used the phrase several times in this little
my little soliloquy.
Yes.
I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah, but you use the phrase. This is not the complete answer. It's not complete, and that is an important statement to make. One of the reasons things get stuck where they are, one of the reasons we have not advanced beyond where we are, is because every time somebody finds a solution that works for them, they believe it's the end-all be-all solution for everyone.
That's right.
And so that's why you got a lot of people walking around saying, if you don't do the 12-step groups, you can't survive. And if you don't do this, you can't survive. If you don't have a higher power, you can't survive. If you don't go to treatment for 150,000 days, you can't survive. All these different rules and everything else. And this is listen. This is a disease that manifests itself in every different way in every different person. This is a disease that attacks young and old, good and bad people, nice people, mean people, men, women. It doesn't matter.
All ages, stages,
all ages,
and places.
Yes, and everyone is different. And so there's no way we can look at that and say there is one solution for all. We're not looking for a cure for a disease. We're looking for a set of principles and a set of guidelines and a set of things that we can instill in somebody where they can rebuild their life in a sober setting or with a recovery community. It's different every time. You cannot just sit there. I had this conversation this morning. I was at a treatment center. I was working with some clients, and one of the other therapists came, or not therapists, but facilitators came in and sat with me and watched my group. And afterwards, they said, well, you shouldn't have said that because that should be done in the meetings, and this is done this way. I'm like, yeah, not for everybody, though. He goes, no, this is if everybody does it, that's what will work. It's a fallacy. Right. It's maddening. We cannot. There's never going to be the one pill that's going to make the difference or change. No. Because it's too much about who the person is. So it's a very strange thing. Yeah, right.
And the magic pill formula just makes good headlines. It doesn't.
It really does.
Because we know we do have medical interventions now, which are life-saving, life-changing, and bridge because of the chemical arms race we're in on that.
This right here.
That's your best
This is
medicine.
the most powerful medicine for the disease of alcoholism, drug addiction, and yes, even mental health, because dehydration seems to follow almost all of those things.
It's not this.
It's not coffee. It's water.
It is. It's water. Hydrate. We're water beings.
Drugs bad, coffee good. I believe everybody should have at least 7 cups of coffee a day.
At least a minute.
At least. Mike and I do not sleep. We just bounce back and forth. No, drink water. There's all sorts of things. But this is why it's important that we have resources. We have resources like Farr and like these RCOs and like these other resources out there.
Well, I want to talk real quick. I'm jumping, but on the Florida Mental Health Advocacy. Gail, please don't get mad at me. She's been on here before. I get it confused sometimes. FLM,
Florida Mental Health Advocacy Coalition.
FLMHAC. FLMHAC.
Don't say that.
That's why I gotta remember this stuff. But the amazing, but a lot of that work now is around 988, and the 988 initiative is to have a separate behavioral health. It used to be like a suicide. Excuse me. Self-canceling. I think my words right these days, but you know what we're talking about. Supports for that, but it's a mental health support line. And I think that's one of the best initiatives the state has gotten engaged in to get, again, a clearinghouse, and that's why when we want to make sure we have a neutral care coordinating team in Palm Beach County, we hope everywhere, is that there is that air traffic controller or that on-ramp for any individual or family member to call about an individual where they're going to call, they're going to get someone who's certified, qualified, can assess that individual and start that process immediately. We don't lose that individual. And I don't care how you get it. We're designing it so we don't care how you get in. But once you're in, you're on. And once we got you on board, we're going to make sure whatever those needs are, we're going to take care of them.
If there's people out there that don't quite understand, maybe you haven't dealt with addictions or mental health or any of these things that much, but you're still curious. If you wanted to open up a coffee shop in a nice little established neighborhood, you're a new guy, you're coming in, you're going to open something that's going to somewhat intrude upon their space, but you want them to like you, and you want to fit in, and you want to do all those things. So what would you do? Do you just start building, or do you go around and look at what they have? Do you go around and talk to the people and let them know who you are before, and you ease yourself in, and you learn about, hey, we like to do things this way in the neighborhood. It's like, okay, great, we can do that. And you start to assimilate yourself into it, and you still get to have your own coffee, your own brand, your own space, and do your thing. But now you're doing it in harmony. That's what we're talking about that has been missing in recovery for a long time. It's been get sober, now go out there, good luck. Get a job, go to a meeting if you're having a hard time, call your sponsor if you're having a hard time. But it's never been the assimilation into what the world is doing out there, what the communities are doing in it. And I love this because they talk about those things. They talk about how to properly prepare for job interviews and how to do those things, skills that a lot of people don't have.
Right.
We're talking about somebody who could be using for 20 years of their life, and all of a sudden now they've got 90 days clean and sober, and they got to start a life. Well, where's the starting point for that? Starting point has to be from a comforting, caring place, a place that's supportive, and then you have to start reaching yourself out and looking at those communities and stuff. So it's about a lot of things coming together there.
Is.
You, as a regular person, you don't just come and start plowing land and open up something and say, everybody come to me. You got to learn about what you're doing and what your space is and what place that you're going to occupy. Right. Because without knowing what place you're going to occupy, you can feel very lost and very alone.
Yeah, it's interesting. Someone said this in a group. I'd love to give credit to this where it needs to go. So the credit's there. Whoever this was. I remember.
Bob, Mary, John, Tim, whoever you were.
I remember. But it was feeling so alone in something that affects so many, right? Yeah. And it's like, wow, yeah, that makes sense. You can't swing a cat, please don't, in Palm Beach County and not hit a meeting or some sort of recovery support, but to feel alone in that journey makes no sense. So when you talk, I thought it was funny. We said you got to stop hiding in basements. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Usually you think about what a lot of it, but remember the basements are for hiding from clowns. Clowns, by all means, if there's clowns around, please hide in the basement. Don't come out until the coast is clear. But when it comes to getting out, everybody's their own individual. Some people want their anonymity because that's the way they are. That's okay. It's a personal choice, though. Don't make that choice for me. Everything. It's right. Everything is individual. We have best practices. We have best opportunity. We have a lot of different things. Let's put the menu together for that individual. They're going to be in the driver's seat, and that's the difference. And
look who's sending us love is Stephanie Eddowes.
It's Stephanie Eddowes, someone who knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
I'm talking about somebody who knows something. Russell Levine is with us.
Russell, I owe Russell a giant hug. He knows why. Russell, being Russell, helps people out in so many different ways, and I love him dearly, and I'll give him a big hug, and you know why. Not for that reason. If
we start naming saints in recovery world, he would be up for a vote.
Maybe a minor saint.
Yeah, no, nobody's a big saint. Can we get the insurance companies on board? I know I ask a lot, and we have done so much.
So I think eventually I don't get political here, and I don't want to, but I will say that I think over time, when insurance companies see the value in value-based care, when they see that recovery is a whole lot more cost-effective and effective than just treatment over and over and over again, that they could support the treatment environment appropriately and effectively. Let's stop denying the appropriate level of care, but let's make sure that we're supporting the recovery environment afterwards. And you're going to see something that's going to be not only effective for individuals, you're going to find people that are less burden on themselves and the system. And I don't mean burden bad. I mean that you don't have a choice because they're just in the wrong piece of the equation at that time. So I think working together, I think that's the important thing, and getting a dialogue, and let's stop being so top heavy and top down. We've made this move in the community because we've come together and we communicate. That's the secret to it. So we have we have good leadership up in Tallahassee right now. I think that's a great place to start. And I'm all about bringing people together.
And the insurance companies are not going to move on something until they've had a model, a proof of model, or a proof of of concept. And, so we've got to kind of, because before, listen, when we started dealing with this back in the, late 70s, early 80s, when we started opening rehabs and things like that, insurance companies, even into the 90s and beginning of the 2000s, it was an open pocketbook. It says, treatment center, I need this. They said, okay, we'll pay for it. And then it changed over because it was taken advantage of in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was,
look at the fraud.
There was a lot that went on. And it was both sides that never came to a table after that. They just started flinging poo at each other. Well, it
was the pendulum.
It was not good.
You swing the pendulum hard one way or the other and realize that you got to have a balance and equilibrium there to keep the time.
So what's happened is they've seen these MAT programs develop where people are staying on medication and they start to see the efficacy of that. Now they've switched over, and most insurance companies, they want people on a medically assisted treatment.
Yeah.
They want people on pharmaceuticals. There's a piece of that I'm not going to talk about because it's obvious. Pharmaceuticals making money. Guess what? Everybody's making money.
It is not the whole puzzle. There is not the magic pill. And for those that are aware of that, even your best addictionologist will tell you that it is a bridge. It's a component. It's a wonderful tool to have. It's saving lives, and it's very important.
Yeah.
Is it the whole picture? Of course not.
If we want something different, we've got to show them. We've got to actually do the work. This is where treatment centers and RCOs and sober living and all these things need to come together and extend themselves a little bit more.
Yes.
Extend themselves. I understand money is money and this is this and this is that. But we have to extend ourselves a little bit more to prove that this is the one thing. This is one of the things that's going to work. That's the other thing, is that nothing you present is going to work for everybody. And that's where they can simply say it's not, they want the panacea. That's what they want.
Look, you're not going to find. It's like the folks that in the prevention space, which I've inhabited for 30 plus years. It's like, we're going to get the day where there's going to be no drugs or alcohol. I'm like, that day is not ever going to happen ever. People are going to
try prohibition? Did they try that?
It works great.
How did that go?
Yeah. So people are going to want to not feel the way they're feeling, and they're going to find a way to feel that way. We are here to help people hopefully have those feelings managed, give it opportunity for support, find other, and if people find themselves in that place, let's get the help they need and help them move on in their journey in their life. We're going to look at this as a proactive approach. We're going to look at this as a community approach and find some equilibrium in that. Hopefully, as we've seen our opiate deaths decrease in a lot of places, some places unfortunately are increasing, but decreasing here in South Florida. Look, you have a 11-17% decrease. Again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are at thousands of deaths and now you have 100,000 or 100,000, 1,000 people still alive, still living, still dreaming, still hoping, still working, still being a part of a family and their community, it's worth it. It's worth any cost. So that's why we do what we do.
So let's put a fine point on all of this. If you want more information about what Micah is doing with Farr, you can go to farronline.org.
Yes.
You can email him at info@farronline.org, or you can call him at this number, 561-299-0405. The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask.
Exactly.
That's the only stupid. Ask questions, find out what's going on, find out how you can help in your community as well.
We're going to think you're smart for asking.
Also, next week, we'll start with this next week, we have the Florida EAP conference. Again, if you want information on that, call Karen at 786-514-0893. And lots going on. It's next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday and Friday are the meat of the conference. Wednesday is the golf tournament. Still have slots open for that too. But if you call us, we can find out more and you can get into the golf tournament as well. And finally, in about 2.5 weeks or so, almost 3. Well, I guess it's about 3 weeks actually.
3 weeks.
It's we've
3
got
sleeps.
Farr BQ, and this is
barbecue.
This is like one of those events that you don't want to miss. It doesn't take any money out of your pocket. I also like the fact that you're holding it in the park. Lots of parking, lots of stuff like that. You don't have to worry about.
And plenty of public restrooms.
Oh, see, that's always good because don't want to be on the park. No trees, no squatting, none of that mentioned. But food, fellowship, fun, music, games, just good.
Just come hang out.
I'll tell you what, bring a lawn chair.
Yeah.
You can be if you're the most miserable person, I'm going to challenge the most miserable person watching right now. And if you think you're one of those people, bring a lawn chair, come out, sit on the peripherals, and just watch us. And I guarantee, just by watching, you're going to be happier.
Oh, by the way, it is next to a lake, so just sit by the lake.
Sit by the lake. But
don't swim in it, but come sit. It's idyllic.
Yeah. So actually, you can reach out to Farr if you want more information on that. Go to their website again, farronline.org, to get more information.
We'd love it if you'd registered and register your whole house. The only reason why, then we know how many burgers and dogs to have.
Yeah, that helps. But if somebody wants to join you last minute,
come on in. We'll find more burgers and dogs.
And guess what? If you are, this is the kind of thing. I know we're out of time, but sponsors, this is an opportunity for you to do something beyond what you normally do. Bring your sponsees to events like this and show them what true joy and freedom is, and fun and fellowship. Bring them and let them enjoy this. This is really just a great opportunity. And all you people who are working in the industry, come out and support Farr for all the great work that they do.
Great chance to see your friends. All right, guys.
We are done.
Boom. Another one.
We are donezy. We got it. We're going to have to end it now. I want to thank everybody for watching us. And if you're watching a replay, remember, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and share this with your friends. And don't forget to leave a comment. We love to hear from them. I want to thank the comments from Stephanie and from Russell. Thank you guys for joining us and everybody else out there. As always, my friends, good to see you.
Okay, brother. Let's do it again.
All right.
Like in the booth next week.
We will. Yeah, we're gonna be bringing you some footage from the EAP conference and the barbecue. We're gonna be doing both. So just watch Farr and Beyond podcast. Beyond means we'll go anywhere.
That's right.
Just remember that. We'll catch you next time. Take care now.